All right, we're here at Disney's Hollywood Studios. We're gonna shoot some film today. My Canon AE1, I've got some Kodak Color Plus 200, and in my Minolta X700, we got some Cinestill. We're meeting up with Evan. He's brought his Canon along with him. He's planning on shooting some Cinestill, and we're gonna see how it goes. What are we gonna shoot?
We're gonna shoot some 200, and then we're gonna wait for the sun to go down. We're gonna shoot some Cinestill.
And we're off to the races with our first shot of the day, the AT-AT Imperial Walker. It wasn't intentional that we composed our shots almost identically. However, we can learn a whole lot by comparing these two photos. It's well known that Kodak Color Plus really leans into the warmer tones and the reddish tones, while the Fuji, it really shines in the greens. However, the real story here is one of exposure and dynamic range. It's the examination of this aspect that's going to provide us a greater insight moving forward with our photographic journey. I'll simply start by asking you which of these two photos you prefer. Don't worry about answering correctly. There is no right answer to this question. But if you ask me, I say both. Looking at this portion of the image, well, then I'd say Evan's shot is the clear winner, as he preserved a lot more detail in the shadows. However, in this portion, the opposite is true. Because I exposed slightly darker, I maintained a lot of detail in the sky, and we can see clouds and everything. So, as photographers, how can we apply these lessons to improve our future photography? Well, it's about knowing the constraints that dynamic range places on us, and understanding that those limitations mean that it's not always possible to expose both for the darkest parts of our image and the brightest ones. When you, as the human being operating the camera, becomes aware of these things, the decision to protect highlights or preserve shadow detail stops being left up to circumstance, and it starts to become a choice made by you, the photographer. Although you'll probably just end up like me and still mess it up sometimes, but whatever. Once night fell, I switched over to my Minolta X700 to pop off some Cinestill 800T. The first thing people usually notice about Cinestill is the reddish highlightation that appears around bright light sources. And in the Disney parks at night, there's a lot of lighting, so it's a great place to play around with the effect. And there's just something about capturing the Millennium Falcon on 35mm film. It just feels more authentic, especially if you're a fan of the older movies from the 70s and 80s. And with all the bloomy, grainy goodness to be had, Evan's got to jump in on the action too. Evan only just took up the hobby of photography, but he jumped right into the deep end by choosing to shoot film. It's not like digital where we can just look at the back of the camera and see if we got the exposure right or if we like the composition. We just press down on the shutter release, hear a click, and it's not until we get the film processed that we even know what we got. I mean, hell, we're not even shooting with autofocus. It's amazing how quickly he's picked up the basics and even moved beyond that. But I guess you can do that when you have a brain the size of Montana.
See you, man.